Ministry leaders often struggle to balance the pressures of personal and professional demands, especially within bivocational ministries, small churches, urban settings, and historically marginalized communities. Today, we are going to be learning about the holistic model of pastoral support that has been developed by Leadwell, focused on financial stability, emotional wellness, ministry management, and community leadership. Billie Malcolm provides leadership to this program, and she is here with us today. Also here with us is the Senior Director of the National Initiative to Address Economic Challenges Facing Pastoral Leaders Coordination Program, funded by the Lilly Endowment Inc. Bonnie Marden, who will be moderating our time together.
Old. It is the second largest African American Pentecostal organization, and it is the oldest Pentecostal oneness group. And oneness just means not Trinitarian, but it doesn't mean anti. There's a lot of confusion about what it is. It's startling to read. Even people say it's a cult, but it's not. We believe in the Father and the Son and the Holy Ghost. So with this group, I think it's interesting because historically, well, from the beginning, the organization was birthed out of the Pentecostal movement, particularly Azusa Street in 1906. That was the movement, and was really splintered by racial issues. And so while the organization has had two white bishops in its history, it is now predominantly African American, and all the fractures came out of race-based issues. And I just think it's a sad story, but we do thank God that I think we're seeing, even though the tone is race dividing, I do see a movement among the body portions coming together, right? So this big narrative is something. No matter what happens there, though, there is a historical impact that has happened. And so, and again, I'm just trying to hit at, I don't want to, some of you may be academics, so you don't judge me for my super cliff notes on real academic data. But just quickly, like when I think about the history of the Black community and the Black church, and both of those terms, I'm generalizing, right? There is not a homogeneous Black church, but it is a shortcut to say what a majority, and especially in my experience, the majority is experiencing. A lot of history and a lot of pride about rights coming out of the civil, the victories of the civil rights movement. But in the program that I'm operating today in 2026, like I'm seeing real impact. Like when you think about people who were denied access to resources and opportunities. And that kind of discrimination came on individual levels, race-based, right? But there were also real policies in place that prohibited the economic strength of the Black community. And I'm a part of a lot of dialogues, and I could talk all day on this subject, but I think what really hit me through this work is how we're not talking about how it impacts the church and how it's impacting church leaders. Because today, our pastors, and again, another generalization I'm making, we have pastors who are doing very well. They've got healthy churches, personally thriving financially. It's not the majority. And what we're learning is so many of our pastors are bivocational, so their stability is almost kind of not real, right? Because they're representing these organizations full of people that aren't doing well financially, but they themselves are holding a job to cover their families and then to cover the church. So it's like we're not getting to the truth about what is going on in the church in general. And so again, with our population, when I'm looking at the majority of them, I'm like, okay, you're like really living the double unemployment rate of Black people. And again, this is what I mean by all my little quick references to stats. 1 in 3 Black children living in poverty. We don't talk enough about underemployment and what that does to people's mindset. Like I do have a job and I still can't pay my bills. Even the latest research that shows Black wealth is growing, but so is the gap between Black and white wealth. Like it just doesn't stop. Like we're not catching up. It's still not dollar for dollar. And these folks are leading ministries that are dealing with populations that are going to be the first fired and the most uneducated. And, so it's just, when you see the infrastructure, it's interesting. And Bonnie, you know to stop me because I'll keep going. But when you think about what we have not had, there are no endowments. There is no health care. There is no retirement fund. None of these things exist. And I had a Lilly representative have a conversation with me, and what was eye-opening was to hear them say, wow, I had some concerns, but now I'm looking at this 100+ year old organization that doesn't have staff and facilities. And you guys have been doing this like as volunteers for like 100 years. And I'm like, yes, yeah, we got a headquarters in Indianapolis. And that's pastors own their own churches if they own. And so it's a lot. And so we're seeing a societal generational wealth turning over. I used to be a funder in Baltimore. I used to work with donors. And so I'm looking at families transfer their wealth to the next generation. And again, it's just a reminder. So I don't think we've thought enough about the impact.
Yeah. Billie, can you offer the group a quick overview of what you're accomplishing in the Lead Well opportunity that you're offering to the people that are blessed to work with you?
Yes, I'm blessed to work with them. So when Lilly launched the Economic Challenges Grant, or when we became aware, because apparently it's been available for a while, we were already kind of pondering, what does it take for pastors to be strong in 21st century ministry? And so we pulled together a think tank that really wanted to focus on what are the economic challenges and how do we make a pastor strong. And through lots of dialogue and 2 days of beating it in revised drafts, we came up with these 4 areas: personal financial stability, ministry management, emotional wellness, as well as community leadership. And so this statement, I'll just read exactly what we say. Lead Well seeks to develop and support PAW, Pentecostal Assemblies of the World, pastors who are striving to be financially and emotionally well and efficiently leading their ministries and communities. So regardless of their age, their scale, their stage of ministry, if they're thriving in 21st century ministry, then 1, they have stable personal and household finances. 2, they are mentally and emotionally well. 3, they're efficient managers of their ministry operations, both fiscally and administratively. And these are leaders who help meet the economic needs of their communities. And we're delivering that education to get there in 3 different ways. So 1 has been a boot camp model, which is mostly online. We are taking 1 hour to go rapid fire on all 4. So it's a 4-hour program happening once a week, succinctly. We just finally launched our comprehensive learning series, which is double the time. So you have to spend more like 3 hours per module. And then we will launch some national chats this year. And so what we're learning in these sessions is that it's a lot. Like, we know money is a private matter. And so it takes a minute for people to warm up, but we have found success in creating the kind of environment that lets folks kind of really be honest about what's going on. And so we started with this vision to have this big, comprehensive, the 3-hour per module, but we shifted out of necessity to this quick model, and it's the best decision we ever made. Just kind of warming up our people to even understand that this is a thing, right? And so I'll pause there just to make sure we are in the right direction.
Thanks, Billie. That is a incredible amount of information you've just shared with folks, and it makes me curious to learn even more. And at this stage, we're going to invite people to go into breakout rooms to talk amongst yourselves, peer learning going on here. We're going to put you into breakout rooms for you to reflect on what you've heard from Billie. There will be time later to ask her some questions. So if those are percolating for you, jot them down, or you'll be able to put them into the chat, and we will address as many of them as possible. Thinking about what Billie has shared about the people that she has the privilege of working with, the reality, the pressures that they're experiencing, and the model that they've developed. And could you hear they've tweaked it already. Learning and adapting as they go. So here's the question that we're going to pose for you to share with whoever you end up in a breakout room with. The question is, How is the population you are serving different or similar to Billie's community? What aspects of their work is similar to your work or different? And again, it's in the chat. How is the population you serve different or similar to Billie's community? And what aspects of their work is similar to your work? And what is different? Have a great conversation. We'll see you back.
My apologies. I'll change my name again. They're changing the electric meter. So power. I can't hear you.
And I got your note about
Yeah. Okay.
the spelling error, so we'll get that taken care of.
Okay. All right. Well, my apologies for
No worries.
going AWOL.
So I'm going to move you to one place, but then I'm going to move you back. Okay. So just
Okay.
hold tight for a second. Don't join what I send to you.
Okay.
Okay. See if that works. Did it allow you to join the breakout?
It moved me in, then it moved me right back out again. Do I need to go to one? I don't know. I didn't hear what any of the setup was, so
No, you're fine. No,
okay.
I think it's good. I can let you know that I've got things just about set here for the letter of intent that we had talked about for the Selena Gomez.
Yeah, I saw that folks were pretty prompt for getting right back like that.
Yeah, so I'm excited to get that over to you, and then let's see, let me put this out here. So how about this, Phil? I'm going to share with you this. Let's share this. Chat should be there. And then if you can just look through that, and I think I've sent you the back, the other items and all. Focus on the narrative section, which is the 2-page. And then I know more work is needed here.
Does this need to get in today, Thad? Is that the?
Yeah, unfortunately. Yeah. But just take a look at the narrative section.
I'll do it.
See what you think.
We'll do that.
All right. They're going to be coming back soon, just FYI.
Am
Well, I
I
hope
the only one who came back? Oh,
there's a whole bunch of us back here.
here we
Yeah,
come.
there we
Yay.
are.
My group mates are coming back now.
It's fun to be in a small group, and then it's a joy to be back in the larger community like we are now. I'm going to do a game time play with Thad. Do we want to go to Q&A, or do we want to ask the other, ask Billy to share a little bit more?
Yeah, Billy, if you don't mind, I'd love for you to share a bit more, especially talk about the specific ways that you're supporting the pastors in your denomination, specifically in those areas that you talked about before, whether it be financial, mental health, all those. Unpack that for us. Help us to get
Yes.
some context for it.
Okay. So what is happening in those sessions, mostly right now, again, the boot camp, is that for 1 hour, and let me just back up, we were very adamant about mobilizing our own people. We knew that a lot of folks had went and purchased services from people, and not that we didn't think that they could help, but we knew that our people are not, this is not their language, their lane, so we really were intentional about making sure we picked peers or facilitators that they might know. And even if they didn't know them personally, they knew their pastor, they knew their family's position in the organization, they were familiar. And so I took those groups of volunteers and asked them to create a curriculum. So our financial stability module for me was the best. It was a big group of people who had been successful doing this work, and they collaboratively created what they thought were the most important things. So first of all, for them was mindset. And I'm going to tell you, I was like, okay, we're going to start on finances and mindset, just not a lot. Like, it turned out to be super important to just kind of slow down and unpack how people think about money. And then what started happening is this vulnerability, and I'm talking in 1 hour. In 1 hour, people were starting to share. And as I reflect, I think it's because the instructors themselves were transparent. So the magic that happened was the couple that I had teaching in the first couple rounds were $1 million in debt at one point in their life. And they're a young couple. And they told. And so everybody's just stunned, like, $1 million. And the husband in particular just touched my heart, because he's like, I told the Lord, give me the strength and the longevity to pay off this debt as a man of God. I don't want to die owing this much money to people. And what they begin to tell is that what everyone told them would take 40 years, it took them 7 years to get out of debt. And they talked about discipline as well as spiritually supernatural. And again, we're Pentecostals, we're into the supernatural big time. So they're like, yes, God will bless you and he'll erase debt because he did for them. But most of it was this hard work and discipline to change the way they thought about money. And so we repeated it with our emotional folks. We brought in practitioners and therapists, and they created a curriculum. And they're really kind of unpacking in that session how there's a parent-child dynamic going on sometimes in the congregations, right? That the congregation is not your children and you're not their parent. And this dysfunctional thing that's happening because historically there's been a lot of control in our denomination. And so realizing, let go and let people live. Lead them, guide them, but don't parent them. And in the ministry management module, it's a bishop who's teaching it, and he just dropped the bomb on everybody too, to be very transparent about lawsuits that had come against him, things he had to navigate, and how having policies in place saved him financially. And so working people through, and that's become a very popular module, again, a surprise to me. And then I'm teaching the fourth module of community leadership, which again, as a former funder, I was known for getting Black-led groups, small groups, and churches funding that had never gotten funding before. And so in that model, I didn't think this was going to be a thing, but we kept hearing post-COVID what was happening to our churches needing to be a pillar in the community, that people needed resources. And so people were benefiting post-COVID. They were getting more members, but it wasn't impacting the bottom line. These people didn't have resources to give. And so I'm teaching kind of how do you go get grants and how do you partner and do you know your politicians? And so we're working through that. And so again, I think The transparency of our presenters has been powerful, and not just because it's Black people talking to Black people. It's, do you understand where I am? And that's a class issue, not a color issue. And when you're talking about money, like, I mean, it doesn't hurt that if you're African American and you understand. And then what I was not expecting was technology to be my friend. Now, it's not always my friend, but we worried about our low-tech population being able to engage with us online. And it worried me. And we really have a hard time with every single cohort we do getting them online. But once they get through, again, something is happening with this intimacy. Because I did a pilot on site, and the mindset was going to another like a seminar, a conference. You're in your suit and you have a different mindset than when you're not used to online platforms, and you're like, whoa, like my kids are in the back. It's okay. I don't have to wear a tie. I don't even have to come on camera. No, you don't have to come on camera, but it's making them come on camera because they're hearing their peers talk. And just one that hits me deeply is when you think about something you can't change, and that's fixed income seniors. And so while everybody's talking about growing and doing what they need to do in their churches, new strategies, we have just huge populations of pastors who can't do anything because the seniors can't do anything, right? They're giving you what they have. I can't fix that. And no one can fix that. But I can give you a platform to have an exchange, to really talk about it. And so when the class was over, they were in a discussion with one another, just finding comfort in those challenges. And then real quick, I'll end with top leaders, because that was kind of a thing that someone said. It's important to highlight what the leadership says. Our top bishop, no, he's not on every call. He's the top presiding bishop. But he said, I am willing to do a video for you that declares this is a new day. And so what's powerful about that is you have this top leader saying, guess what, everybody? Permission to change. And you guys know in your organizations, that top leader has that power. And then I got a second boost from the second in command, which is also the executive director for our program. And he did something so powerful on accident. He kept saying something about we keep trying to escape this earth, but we got to live on the earth. And you may not know our background. We've been heaven-bound people forever. I told you, no endowments, no insurance. You know why? Because they believed Jesus was coming back and you didn't need it. And it's so serious, you all. And it's still real right now. So when you have a top leader saying, we have an escape plan, but we need an occupation plan, it changed the whole game, because he is a man of wealth himself. So people could disregard him as a special case. He has money. But what he's saying is we're still heaven bound, but we must occupy until he comes. And so that kind of just powerful little things happening that I know later we'll talk about the shifting of culture and more impact, but it's just been an exciting time.
Thanks, Billie. And it's energizing to hear your insights and wisdom and the ways you've planted seeds and then watched other people in leadership respond and co-create with you some miracles for the people you have the privilege of working with. We want to turn now to open up the conversation to the body that's present here with us. And if you have a question or an insight, our follow-up question for Billie, you can put that into the chat. It might be a small enough group, so we just let us know what your questions are.
Yeah, that sounds great. And let's start here, Bonnie, if you don't mind. So I know that you've been helping to oversee some of the programs that Billie has been implementing. And I'd be curious from your perspective, Bonnie, what has stood out to you? So if you could, let's summarize kind of the program and the offerings, and then what stood out to you as of noteworthy to highlight in a setting like this.
Yeah. So this is a faith-based organization, and they're using the concept of boot camp, right? Which for some folks is spot on, makes sense, and for other people, what? But the fact that Billie's program has intentionally put people into cohorts, learning communities, that's been a thread that I've seen be highly effective in the world of improving and increasing clergy financial acumen. We learn better in groups than we do one-on-one. Some of us choose to do an online platform by ourselves, but there's some magic that happens when you get people into a group to learn and support each other. And the question I'm always asking in my head is relationship more important or is technical content more important? And I think what Billie's offering to us is a combination, and her thoughts did highlight the role of leadership, inspiration, and people empowering each other. So I hear both technical content being delivered in their work and also great insights and wisdom about the relationships which become the barriers or the pathways, right? For individuals to make changes in their lives. And those individual changes lead to culture shift that changes everything. So the hopefulness piece for me is that it's Billie's making it work. It's working in the context that they have the privilege of doing this work in. And so for me, I hope it gives other people that are here today hope that regardless of your context, regardless of its challenges and pressures, you can make amazing things happen.
Yeah. So Billie, let's talk a little bit about that. Let's talk about the culture shifts that have taken place as a result of these efforts through the boot camp model. So what are you seeing in terms of the denominational body? Obviously, there's changes individually that are happening, but what are the like larger shifts that you're seeing as a result culturally?
Yeah, I would say just right out the gate that guess what, all you holy folks, because we got a holy group, non-theological themes about developing supporting pastors is a thing. Like that people are like, whoa, we're talking about us as individuals and strategy about how to do it all better. This has nothing to do with the doctrine of the Bible. And we are the Acts 2 and 38 people. I can't say it enough what our context is religiously. And shaped out of a reason and need to do that back at a time when it was Pentecostal was different, and being Black as a Pentecostal was a very different thing. And so that I think is amazing. I love what one young pastor said. He said, this is making me realize I need to be a leader naturally as well as spiritually. And what that meant for him was to go home and look at his budget, see that he was doing it, go back to his conversation and say, hey, do you guys got budgets? Real casual. But I'm like, oh my God, he's getting it. Like he's getting it. And then this overall permission to think about yourself. One of the pastors said, just the name Lead Well made me say to myself, I want to be well so I can serve well. And it's, funny words, but it really hit her. She's like, I never thought about leading well. I am doing what God tells me to do, but there's a way to do how God tells me to do. And I don't have to suffer like I'm suffering in some of the things that I do. And so I think one of these other themes is this a reminder, or maybe I'll call it mindset and accountability as a group. It's definitely individual, but this challenging of, wait a minute, these are difficult times, but there's a way to still be Bible-based in what we do. So I told Bonnie this story. I was shocked at a pastor and wife that were having a moment saying everyone's so proud of us because our church just grew to 150 while their churches they're losing members. And I thought they were going to cry. They're like, but we're on food stamps. Like our church has no money. And I'm like, oh, so my heart is just, well, my instructors did not play. They went straight in and started quoting scripture about how it was their responsibility to teach the people to give no matter how much lack they were suffering. And that instructor was part of a very important bishop's family. And what was powerful is for her to say what people didn't know is to keep on the church lights. Our family didn't have lights. And it's just a moment, right? It's like, what? The bishop didn't have lights on at home. And so she said, and he got a revelation that said he had to teach the people no matter how poor they were. By the time he was done teaching, 90% of the congregation were tithe payers. And those of us who follow stats, it's anywhere between 5 and 25% if your structure is tithe. So like those kind of real stories, and even the ones that are kind of I'd call more elite or sophisticated, as we started challenging their finances, like collectively, it became okay to say, well, we are doing better than most of our peers, but we started analyzing our spending, and we are overspending. I mean, it was just this moment. I've never seen this before until this past Monday, and it was multiple ones jumping in, and you all can probably guess what the overspend category is, because statistically, it's for everyone: eating out. So the collective thing that's happening is everybody saying, okay, this is a spiritual and natural thing. And at all times, we need to be looking at it. And I think the last is just kind of, are we listening to each other? Because some of these things, I mentioned it earlier, if you got fixed income seniors, like, you can't change everything, but you can come together and just give each other the relief by, I think about that your platform is about exchange and giving relief. And so it's just been a major shift. I think what's last thing, and because I could talk all day about this, I saw something that is flagging a shift to me that's unrelated to the program. It's impacting the denomination. And I think I'm the tail wagging the dog over here. And that is my number one clicked item, no matter how I package it, is a collage of learners. Everybody wants to see their peers and the learners. And when I say it blows out, registration second, thank goodness, but it blows out everything that we talk about. That part people want to see. And so I started realizing, wait a minute, why is this so hot? It's still kind of new. So they're trying to figure out who is there, who's getting through the program. But our organization features the top personalities, the top preachers, the top. So this is just, I'm sliding in this other kind of culture of, it's a us thing. It's peers. We've been so hierarchical, but something is happening that's bringing us into community in a different way. So
Wow.
yeah.
Wow. The work of clergy well-being and the work of courage and strength to talk about money could have the capacity to bring about the kingdom in a new way. I'm so grateful for Billie's message, because she's speaking from her context, and yet it's a message that applies to all of us, right? And so Billie will be open for any questions that you have or insights from her sharing. How does Billie's leadership style of the Lead Well program, working with people from a variety of economic realities, how does that inform the work that you're doing? I would love to hear from you.
Please, I want to hear from you. Not even if it's a question, just I like to learn from others.
Let me offer this insight, and feel free to drop questions or comments in the chat or use the raise hand function. We'd be happy to get to you. But so I think it's just fascinating that you've cultivated these peer learning communities, and you've done it with such a intentional degree of intimacy that has been kind of the underlying, I mean, it might be even some of the secret sauce, because what I've heard from you, Billie, is that you're saying, that these peers kind of get together and they say, me too, right? Like, you too. Like, I didn't know that there were other people out there that were having those kind of struggles. And so one of the items that stood out to me from what you shared is that you went deep really fast. In particular, like with the finance thing. So, like, at least where I come from, like, there's a few things we don't typically talk about. Money is one of them. And yet this is kind of like the place where you started the conversation related to the economic realities that people were experiencing. And so I would just be curious if you could talk a little bit about kind of that need for intimacy, and then also kind of the way that you utilized the economic conversation to be a springboard to even other things like mental health and all kinds of other stuff. So take it away.
Yeah. Well, one, this is an economic challenges grant. I actually wasn't sure that the foundation would even fund because it was multi-components. Although the case we made was that they all supported a case for economics, and that these pressures were real. And so we had to go deep and fast. We didn't have a choice. But again, I think the only way you can go deep is when people are just honest. And it took me, because I just couldn't. I was like, why is everybody sharing so fast? But I started listening to the instructors more, and they just kept saying, this is what I do. And when wait, let me just show you this spreadsheet I use. And we got that feedback in our evaluations where folks were saying, they actually gave us their own tools, like their personal tools. So it became something different. Now, what is interesting, we also offer an incentive if they complete. And the incentive is not the thing for them. It is really the moment that they're gathering. And once we get them past that first one, they hang in there, they dialogue. And so I think it's the times. When we were in the breakout, I was with Laura, and where are you? Where's your face? Susan, yes. And we had that comment, the economics of today are changing everything. So even if you aren't the depressed community or marginalized community we're from, there is this overall struggle when it comes to resources. And someone was talking about the Methodist Church having to pivot, and their pastors becoming bivocational. So it's like being able to talk in a way that says, okay, we've been behind you guys. We got some work to do, but everybody's kind of coming to a new reality. And I think the pandemic did that, honestly. It kind of level set us and made us remind one another we're all humans. And then coming out of that, how do we help one another? And just money is going to keep being a thing. I will also say in the Black community, and this is a statistic I've seen a couple times, that as an ethnic group, they give a lot, and their number one recipient of their gift is a religious institution. So I'm trying to push the message, you guys, you can't pressure, and I've got that too, the confessions of guilt. We've pressured the congregation. I'm like, some of y'all have to reduce your expenses. You think that's impossible? It can be done. You have to get organized. We've mobilized some volunteers, so we're going to start making those volunteers available beyond the instructors so that some pastors can get that. They're like, we know people are giving online. We don't know how to get online. We're going to help you get online, just through this cadre of volunteers. So hopefully that kind of answered where your question was going.
Today, you've heard from one of the amazing grantees still in the Lilly Endowment's economic challenges to address Pastoral's finances. And one of my roles in this new position is to figure out how to curate some of the curriculum, platforms, assessment tools that have been generated by the 40 or 50 different projects that have been part of this initiative for the last 10 or more years. So I'll communicate with Thad, and as we figure out how to take resources, some of which are public facing, but people don't know how to find them. The Center for Congregations has something called the Congregational Resource Guide. And so we're starting to put some tools there, and I hope that will be one of the platform places that all of us can benefit from. So I've got a lot of reading, a lot of curating to do, but I've got some really great partners to do that with. As you can see, there's great stuff coming out of just what Billie has shared with us. And there's even more there for us to mine and then work on pivoting so that it's outward facing and the community can learn with us.
That's fantastic. And I am popping into the chat the Congregational Resource Guide that Bonnie just mentioned. This is a resource that is produced through the Center for Congregations in Indianapolis and is a little bit of a hub for different materials specifically related to the health and well-being of congregations and also their leaders. So I'd commend that to you. All right, so Billie, all right, here's the other big thing that I heard you talk about, and I think this is important, is that throughout this process, there wasn't just the individuals who came together in community, but you said you can only go deep when you're honest. And sometimes you need permission to be honest. And so you were able to engage the senior leadership of the denomination in a really robust way to help others understand that it's okay, right? It's okay to be honest. It's okay to participate, and also to establish expectations related to that participation.
Mhm.
So I would be curious if you could just talk a little bit for the group about that kind of need for permission, and in particular, anything that you found as helpful or not helpful in terms of engaging senior leadership within the denomination to support these efforts.
Yeah, it's interesting because there's a layer of leadership that's still missing. I've got the very top guys, and then I've mobilized these sharp, talented people to create, to be hubs of instructors. So there's enough word out there, but something is going on with the bishops. And so one thing that we just rolled out, I presented before all the board of bishops, and I was there to give details on the program, but I realized they still don't even understand grants. And we've received a couple of grants now. I had to back all the way up for the bishops to kind of explain how grants work. What are they? And then get into, now, guess what, you guys? This is going to help you accomplish your goal. And there's a goal statement of this organization, just kind of reminding them. So what happened out of that is I ended up creating what I call a council boot camp. And so the council is what we call our diocese gatherings or our regionals or judicatories coming together. And so far, it's been 1 month, and I have three that are jumping on board, which is super exciting because it means I have their top leader for their region. And these guys will call and they will talk to their friends, and they won't come. Or if they come, they fall off. And one, I tracked him down. I said, he said, "This is amazing." I said, "Then don't leave me. Stay with us." And so I think what he saw was it was not his peer group on the call, that was these other pastors. He's like, "I feel like I'm taking someone's slot." I said, "I will let other people in the room, like, stay with me." So not everyone gets it. It's so foreign to them. And I think what's interesting is when I think demographically about our organization, it is older African American males. Who tends to be coming to this program are younger Black males and older Black women. And so I think we're kind of catching the fringes. And this kind of actually encourages me because it's showing me there's a whole bunch of other people out there, that I don't need to focus on the top leadership, because there's a dynamic of hierarchy that's still there. And honestly, it might not leave until this generation closes their eyes, which is happening now, and not in a positive way. And I'm not the one who carries this message. I let the top leaders say it, but they're saying things like, "Too many of you are closing your eyes and your affairs are not right." They weren't saying that before but we're finding out that bishops that looked okay, or very top leaders under those bishops looked okay, financially they were not. So we're running GoFundMe campaigns even for those top leaders. So, it's a slow game. I know I sound like I'm going fast, but I'm like a year behind on where I'm supposed to be, because this slow influencing people. I take all those calls. Is it true that it's just wild things? It's like, why don't you join us on the call and you'll find out, So it's a challenge. You add a second part. I didn't think I got the second part.
Yeah. So yeah, the first was about the permission from the leadership. The second is you talked about permission for the self, like the individuals just having, so not just that there's expectation outside, but there's actually internal expectation from the individuals who are part of the program. And it feels like to me that that's really important. And so if you could connect that permission piece to the struggle that you just were talking about. So you said that you're kind of the uptick has been on the fringes. But there's something in between where you've been missing, especially kind of those mid-career. Like, what do you think is behind that? What's the barrier that you're coming up against, and what do you think would help get across it?
It goes all the way back to the structure of racism in this country, and no one can say anything different to me. That this is Billie's personal platform, but I do think, and I'm going to say it boldly here, that when people are locked out of a society, they create their own. And so again, we're celebrating that the Black church thrived. Everything came out of the Black church, not anymore. The Black church is not what it used to be to community, but I think the hierarchy concept and pride and all of that is rooted in this is the place they found power, right? And so you're strong and you're a leader. And, you know, no offense to anyone in these roles, I don't even think people realize that that has what's happened to them. And that's why these council boot camps are going to be very important to me, because it's the top leader sitting with pastors. And it's like sneaky, right? I'm being sneaky. I'm like, I want you to get it. You're not going to get it. But if I appeal to you as the top leader, and I'm going to sugarcoat that thing when I get to open up. Bishop, we're so glad you just don't know. And then what's going to happen is naturally, now maybe the dynamic changes because the top leader is sitting on that call. And if people have positioned themselves, you know, our organization, you pay an assessment, you know, so maybe it kind of hinders that freedom. I'll be writing about it, Bonnie, in my report. What happens here, I get that top leader, but does it stop the introspection that we've been able to create when it's just your peers? And again, we don't control where you come from. So every cohort is mixed age across the country. We start at 8:30 Eastern, which is 5:30 p.m. Pacific time. And we're just all over the place, but it's working. So the internal part, I think it's just a product of our circumstance. Like we have not, and again, in the Black community, there is messaging about be strong. And then our faith with the people who believe in supernatural things, like you just want God to come in and just move it all. And I've been the recipient of straight miracles in my healing, documented doctor. I know it to be true. But there are also things you have to do in this world. You have to participate in this world. And so, you know, I think we're doing better to set up the next generation of folks for how to think. And as I said, like I want to standardize or normalize this way of thinking. How can you be community and peers if we're not even honest about, and you don't have to tell me your numbers, right? But it's okay to say, like, I'm not okay. Emotionally, I'm not okay, or financially, we're not okay. We don't need the details, but we want to be able to give you tools. And so we've been able to do it little by little. But like I said, I need to influence a whole culture, and it's showing signs. Um, but it's that, and I don't think people understand it. I know I'm going to lose a pastor if they try 2 times the login. So I'm talking all this big stuff, but there's little tiny places where it works or it makes it happen. I am on it. Like I'm distracted the first session because most people are stuck. I want you to feel seen. I want you to feel heard. We got you. Don't worry about it. Everybody's having problems logging out. Come on, don't leave us, because I'm trying to get to this big, massive end goal where I've influenced a whole culture. And it starts with you sitting on that call. So like,
wonderful.
yeah.